Hi guys and welcome back to the channel. Today I've got 4 replays in the AMX 30B2 the Forad. Now this is a mini review of the new Ultimate Pass Era 2 Western Alliance medium tank, the 30B2 Forad that you're seeing in front of you. And yeah, it's a pretty damn nice tank. It's pretty standard with its gun for Era 2, it's pretty decent. It's got pretty good mobility. Armour wise, the hull armour is nothing because that's the way the AMX 30 was designed. The turret armour has enough armour to bounce the odd shot here and there, but you have a bigger cupola that is easy to hit, and also it's not entirely reliable. So it's the type of armour that, you know, you'll get the odd bounce here and there, you'll bounce shots that you go, yeah, that's alright, and then all of a sudden you'll start getting penned in similar spots that you were bouncing in. It's really awkward. But, yeah, it's pretty good all round. The annoying thing with the tank is that, I mean, and it's historically right, because the AMX 30 and all the other versions of the AMX 30 historically had its own special heat round that meant that it could be fired at a higher velocity, etc. And it was like the speciality of the French tank. So its main weapon, its main ammunition, its main standard ammunition is heat. But heat in Era 2 is pretty tragic, because the amount of spaced armour that's flying about, the amount of tanks that have 3 layers of armour just on their standard hull armour, means that the heat tends to get absorbed by a lot of the tanks in the area. If you're facing Leopards, it's okay, but a lot of the Russian tanks, a lot of the Chinese ones, and yeah, a lot of the premiums as well in general, have a lot of spaced armour, so the heat is pretty annoyingly pointless. It has 400 pen, which is okay, but then you get this premium APCR, which actually has 482, and the 482 pen on the premium APCR, or the APFS DS, whatever it is really, really good. You will absolutely destroy FV4211s. You will trash so many tanks with it. This round is really good. And the thing is, you can fire a lot of it and make still, because it's Era 2, you will still make an absolute butt-ton of credits. Absolute butt-ton. As you can see, it's got 520 meters view range. It's 65 kilometers an hour top speed as well. And you've got 2.6k hit points. Those are the little base stats that you can see there on your screen. Let's say, as a tank, it's pretty damn nice. And you get this 20mm auto cannon as well on it for another effect, which, I know I just covered it a little bit, but you just saw me absolutely trash a poor little light tank. There will be another clip or two, or well, you'll see it as you go along anyway. In some of the other replays, the use of this autocannon, it can be really, really good to use. It's not the one that you want to be focusing on using, but it can be pretty deadly in a lot of situations where you get YOLO'd and stuff like that, or you YOLO yourself. So in terms of a lot of other random stats, I'm going to put it up on the screen for you to pause and have a look. But you can see the DPM's 3.5k. It's got 1525 meters a second on this APF SDS. The 1000 meters a second on the heat shell is what is terrible also, because a lot of the distances you fire in 1000 meters in Era 2 is just, ooh. Which is why I say still you're going to be firing the premium round. It's kind of a bit pay to win in that regard, which is kind of sad. I wish that it was flipped and the heat round was the premium and this APF SDS was the standard. But what can you do? You've got 2-second aim time, which is pretty, well, I'd say pretty nice. It's really good. And yeah, you've got lots of other things like 8 degrees of gun depression as well, which the 8 degrees of gun depression is really, really good. Will help you use a ridgeline really, really well. And on the whole, it's just a pretty solid tank. I mean, 6,000 gold as well, which, because it's the Ultimate Pass tank, 6,000 gold, so essentially you're paying 4,000 gold for an Era 2 premium. That's actually pretty decent, is always a good thing, and it will make you a good amount of credits, even though you have to, well, even though you fire full premium. You don't have to, but firing things like that Enigma there as well with the heat would be pretty tragic, which is an unfortunate thing. So in this game, we've managed 6.2k damage and 2,000 assistance, but unfortunately, as we come around on this T62M1, we forgot about the Object 120 we were shooting at earlier on. He's still alive, and he ended up shutting us down. Finished the game with 3 kills, 6.6k damage, the 2k assist, 1,381 base XP, the second class, sorry, couple of kills. Decent game for the Forad, and yeah, like I say, it's a pretty solid tank for 2k gold. 2k gold? 4k gold. For 4k gold, you can't go wrong. So I'm going to show you 2 clips now where the 20mm autocannon can be pretty damn deadly. So this poor Scorpion 90, right? We get the shot into him, it tracks him, and it's like, well, okay then, good night, Mr. Scorpion 90. Look how it absolutely trashes the poor guy. Then we've got this Mobat. This Mobat's coming in on us. It's like, no Mobat. We get the shot in with our standard cannon. He pens us, but we start auto-aiming the shells and just unleashing with the 20mm autocannon, and you can see, just because he YOLO'd in and gave us his side armor, we absolutely shredded him with a lot of damage. When you're using the 20mm autocannon, you do have to keep your eye on your standard, your primary cannon as well, this 105, because you want to make sure that you are still using that gun even though you're unleashing with the 20mm, because naturally you're going to do far more damage if you switch back to your primary, fire the round, and then carry on just machine gunning. It's really good for those sorts of situations where people do just YOLO in and give you the side armor in the rear, and you can keep doing that, and it just helps you to keep whittling away the hit points constantly. And also, when you're shooting them with these 20mm auto cannons, you know, you never know if you hit the engine or the fuel tanks and you'll set them on fire. It could happen. It has happened in general. I've been set on fire in this thing being fired at with the 20mm auto cannon. So you've always got that opportunity to do module damage with it. I think it's a pretty useful tool to have, and it's just pretty damn deadly. You've got to be careful when you are going in on this tank. You've got to know what kind of tank you're in. If you go in on this thing in a light tank, it's probably not going to go too well for you, especially if it tracks you, because while you may smash it, it will smash you, and obviously it'll keep hitting you for 460 with a good rate of fire, but also it will start machine gunning you and whittling your health down very, very quickly. So it's something you've got to be careful of. The one thing that this tank is also pretty bad for is getting ATGM'd. It's really easy to ATGM it, and if any tank comes and runs in and smashes you with the ATGMs, it's not going to be a fun time. You will lose a lot of hit points. There's not a lot of opportunity, except for probably the gun mantlet, for them to bounce or just not pen you whatsoever with the ATGM. So in terms of a crew on the AMX 30B2, the Forad, we are running Born Leader, Rapid Reload, Sixth Sense, Situational Awareness, Trap Mechanic, Steady Aim, Run and Gun, Clutch Braking, Off-Road Driving. Clutch Braking to just give me better track traverse, because it's the one thing that I felt was a little bit slow. It's not slow, but I just felt like myself, perception, it felt a little bit slow, so I just wanted to help that out. The off-road driving to be able to make sure that I can hit my top speed easily, which, you know, the ground resistances on the tank are pretty damn good, but I just help them out as much as I possibly can. Anyway, the gun is really good, so not really bothered about snapshots, so I run steady aim and run and gun, because you always want to make yourself more accurate on the move, and steady aim 10% more accurate as always. Again, it's sort of a base crew. You can change and tweak that to how you want it to be, because realistically, you could get rid of situational awareness if you wanted and run something like rapid aim to make the turret traverse better, or if you would get annoyed at the gun, you could just put snapshot on it as well. It's totally up to you. It's just, yeah, an outline, right, of something that you could use. And in terms of equipment, I run rammer, vert stabs, and the traction system. So the advanced stabilizer, naturally, to get my accuracy on the move and during turret rotation better, again, making this as good as it humanly can be. Rammer to make my DPM as good as possible, and traction system to give me better track traverse, and on top of that, give me the 71 km/h top speed, which you hit. And that 71 km/h top speed is really nice, and obviously helps you make up for the fact that you don't really have any armor, so you can play it quite a lot like a Leopard. And essentially this tank does basically play like a Leopard. So if you've played any of the Leopards in Era 2, you'll pretty much know exactly what you're going to be doing in this tank. And yeah, we're on the second replay of this video, and we are on Nomini Nom. And on Nomini Nom, we've attacked this ridgeline. We've lost a fair bit of health, but we've done 3.7k damage so far with 1300 assistance. And I'm just going to come up here to help these guys out, see if we can do some more damage. That camo, by the way, on that M60 there is pretty bright. That's one of the new camos. It's really nice, but in Cold War, I'm not too sure about using that camo, because that's going to help you get spotted with true vision very, very easily. So yeah, we've flanked into this position to get some flanking shots in, and we're just going to start pummeling the shots in. And I was like, okay, maybe I can get some machine gun shots into the side of this M60A2. Didn't really happen. We get a shot into his cupola though, and it's like, no, I'm not going to do that. because he could end up shooting us. We end up trying to shoot that other M60 and hitting something. The Leopard 1A3 comes in. I know I can machine gun him. I didn't really want to waste my reload on my main gun. And unfortunately, I only wanted to pull forward a little bit to get some shots into him, but we ended up just sliding down the ridgeline, so it was like, oh god, okay, here we go. We now got this Forad in front of us. He gets a shot in, we get a shot into his side, start machine gun his side again, which is where it can be deadly, but unfortunately for me, the Stingray comes in and shuts us down. But we finish with the victory, top of the team, 5.8k damage, 4 kills, 1300 assistance, second class, 1375 base XP. A pretty decent game again for the 30B2 Forad. Those first 2 games are pretty much more like the standard games where, you know, you make mistakes, you lose a lot of hit points, but you can keep funneling out the damage and use the tank to its strength realistically. We're on to the third replay, and this one we're on Vineyards. So I'm going to go to A6 and get brawling over there. Like I say, it's got some turret armor, so I was thinking, you know what, I'm going to go try out the turret armor in a hull-down war, see how it goes. So the cupola is a shot catch. People can hit that cupola pretty easily. And like the turret armor on the gun mantlet as well is another one where it will bounce shots, but then at the same time you can also be penned in it. And you're going to see that realistically in this fight, because we're going to be fighting other 30B2s as well, which is the other reason I quite like using, well, I quite like this replay and I wanted to use it. As you can see, we shot that 30B2 there, and we hit his gun mantlet and bounced. But we're going to start just working people over. There's situations where you want to use that 20mm autocannon, and the situations where you don't want to use that 20mm autocannon. This is one of those situations where you are not using it, because you can see the Leopard 1 destroyed the other 30B2 that was there because he tried to use it, but he sat in front of everybody as he's tried to use the cannon. And naturally, if you just sit in front of people in this tank, you don't really have any armor, so they will wreck your face, and it's not going to go too well. Unfortunately, in this moment in time, we are also shooting way too low, which means I'm just trying to find where the ridgeline is, essentially, because I couldn't quite see it, so we end up missing a fair few shots. But this isn't a situation where we can, as you see, we hit the ridgeline again. This is not a situation where we can sit and aim and try and find the shot. We just have to keep poking up and shooting. As you can see, this 30B2 Forad gets tracked, and that's where I decide, yeah, I'm going to use the autocannon. And I was thinking, okay, let's see if we can actually use the autocannon on the cupola of the 30B Forad, and yeah, it doesn't go in. You do only have 87 pen, though, on this 20mm AP round, and that means you really only will pen a lot of the sides with no spaced armor on tanks, like the M60s, and rears of most tanks, or like, say, the front. Actually, you can pen the lower plate of a lot of the Leopards, too. Okay, so you've really got to choose when to and when not to use that cannon, because it can be pretty deadly. Like I say, that 30B2 was tracked up in the open, so I'd use that opportunity to just try and pummel as much damage into him as I humanly could. The other thing with this tank is something that they've done, and that is they've disabled the gun jump. You know, when you fire in any other tank, it tends to sort of move, or your gun, you know, your screen wiggles. This tank doesn't do that. I assume that's because of the 20mm autocannon. It's kind of a bit disorientating when it's firing non-stop. Who knows? That's just something that I've observed with this tank anyway. But yeah, you can see we're shooting the other 30B Forad. He ends up hitting our turret cheek and penning. We hit his and bounce. It's all about where you hit it. Now these guys are coming in. We don't have the hit points for this. That 30B2 was coming in behind us, and I didn't have the reload in, so I was like, okay, I'm going to try and machine gun him. Fortunately enough for me, the guys behind him shoot. This is where these guys are going to start pushing aggressively, and I know that we've got people that could possibly shoot them. So we've just got to keep working them over as much as we humanly can with the gun, while not overexposing ourselves and thus dying. This Centurion 2 comes over. The WZ-122 gets a shot into him and smashes him. We end up finishing him off. The 30B2 also comes over. We get a shot into his tracks, and we were trying to machine gun it, but he popped smoke, which is quite useful for him. Now the M60A2 is coming in. He didn't realise where we were. He fires heat, so he ends up bouncing. And unfortunately, we get a shot in which low rolls, and we're just in an awkward situation. Can we reload before him? But unfortunately, we can't. And typically, just as we die, he dies. Shame, but it is what it is. We finished with the victory. The top of the team, 1 kill, 9.3k damage, 1419 base XP, which is pretty decent. The 2.1k blocked off the turret. the first class, 1419 base XP. Really nice game for the 30B Forad. I say, it's one of those things, the turret armor is not good, but it's also not bad. So it's not like a leopard where you go sit in a leopard hull down and no matter what you're showing, it's going to get penned in this era. This tank can at least bounce some shots off the turret. And you can still use that to your advantage, but the thing is, it can catch a lot of shots too. And you just have to be very, very careful. So on to the fourth and final replay of this mini review of the Ultimate Pass tank, the 30B2. And we're on Kasserine. And on Kasserine, we like to go up to this little ridge here when we're on this spawn, because you can catch those early shots at people that are coming out of their spawn. Unfortunately, we ended up shooting the FV4211 there, and then we get to shoot the Leopard. Originally, I was shooting the Leopard, but that 4211 actually came up. There's actually a BMP there that I didn't see when I was playing. I just saw him poking out from that rock, and that is why we are still detected. I'm looking going, why am I still detected? And there you go, there's the BMP, gets spotted by our light tank. So I'm just keeping my eye out again to see if we can spot anything that's over there. My whole team has pushed left, which seems to happen on Kasserine. It's either one team pushes full left and one team pushes full right, and then it's like a full rotation. It's kind of like Duckler passing that way. Or people just run straight into the middle. It's a really odd meta that goes on in Era 2 in this map. But yeah, my team's gone in on the left, and I've not really seen anything. I didn't see anything crossing along the A line. There is that heavy tank that's spotted, so I'm thinking, you know what, I'm going to go in. And as we come over this ridgeline, you can see me using the camera there to aim down so that I could actually see if there was anything over this ridge, and there was the 4211. Now the 4211 is still an awkward customer, but with 483 penetration, we are going to be able to pen this guy pretty reliably if we hit the right spots. As you can see, we can go straight through his upper plate as well. Now there's a shot whizzed past us from behind us, which I didn't quite realise at the time. We go for that driver's hatch of the 4211, it doesn't quite go in. Then we do finally get shot from the side, and I'm like, okay, no, I can't stay here. We get the shot into the back of the 4211, which shuts him down. And now we're going to move up here to see if we can start addressing the enemy team, which, again, like I say, has rushed around the other way. We get a nice shot into the Leopard 1A3 there. I'm just poking up to see if I can get some shots into anything else. We see the AMX 30B2 Forad, but unfortunately, I just don't aim it well enough, and we end up missing that shot. We do get a nice shot, though, into the 1A5. Sorry, it's not 1A3. And we're just using, again, we just pushed ourselves into a position where we're kind of hull down, and we're getting shots into the 30B2 Forad. As you can see, the other thing I'm saying about this gun jump, right, or, you know, when the gun almost bounces when you fire, recoil, naturally, that's the word I'm looking for. When the gun recoils, as you can see, this gun is really, really smooth. You're getting it a little bit with the 20mm, but with the 105, you don't seem to have anything, which is really quite nice. I actually quite like that. That I can see exactly where the shell's going, and my turret doesn't bounce. It's a little bit less disorientating, which is nice. But right, we're going in on this 30B2 here. My team is coming with me, which is great. He is full auto blasting, and we're ready to do the same to him. But unfortunately, he kept turning for us, which meant that we couldn't actually get any shots into him. The autocannon is now reloading, but we are loaded with our standard shell. The cap's fine, so we're going to go in on this Magak 3. He ends up ignoring us, and it's like, okay, if you're going to ignore us, let me just make the most of that. And as you can see, we're pummeling shots in, and we've got the rear of this VT2 as well, and we're just going to keep smashing the shots in. And that's where the 20mm autocannon is really nice. When you get... We swamped them there, and we managed to just keep smashing shots in and getting our damage, even though our main cannon was out. And that's where it can be pretty damn useful. Those targets that are unaware, or those targets that you do manage to get round and, you know, unleash hell on them. Now we've got behind this 30B Forad, we get a nice shot into his rear there, and we're just going to start smashing the shots into his side with the autocannon. And our main cannon hadn't quite reloaded by that point, so we get to shut down the 1A5 with the autocannon, and then shut down the 1A5 with the main cannon, and the 30B2 with the autocannon. Finished with the game with 4 kills, 9.3k damage, 1400 assistance, the first class, 1566 base XP. A really nice game for the MX 30B2 Forad. It's the Era 2 Western Alliance premium medium tank that is in the Ultimate Pass for 6,000 gold, although technically it costs you 4,000 because you get 2,000 back. It's pretty damn worth it. The Ultimate Pass is pretty damn worth it all the time if you play Cold War or World War II, depending. And, yeah, It's a pretty damn nice tank. So as always, everybody, thank you very much for watching. I'll see you next time.
A great success!